guard Bradley Beal has agreed to a contract buyout with the Phoenix Suns, plans to join the Los Angeles Clippers on a 2-year, $11 million deal with a player option after clearing waivers, Mark Bartelstein of Priority Sports told ESPN. So that's what the reports are. Beal is going to has agreed to a buyout and plans on joining the Los Angeles Clippers. Jared, have you seen if the odds have moved at all because of that? Has there been any? I've not seen anything
Good question.
related to that either. Right now, the Western Conference odds as they stand are Oklahoma City is your favorite, as Mike Brown pulls them up there, plus 150. The Houston Rockets, Denver Nuggets right behind them. Lakers are plus 950, Timberwolves 10-1, and then you have the Clippers at 10-1 as well. So the Clippers are kind of in that grouping, Jared, with like the Lakers, the Timberwolves, kind of those teams. The West right now feels like it's in tiers almost. You know, you got obviously OKC, the class of the West. Then you have Denver, who took them to 7 with the best player in the world in Jokic, and Houston, who was the 2 seed last year, up-and-coming roster, add Kevin Durant in the offseason. And then after that, you have these teams with players that have won championships like Kawhi Leonard, LeBron James, some of the best players in the league, Anthony Edwards, Luka Doncic, all grouped kind of in that next tier with the Lakers, T-Wolves, and Clippers. So let's start there, Jared. Like, of those 3 teams, Lakers, Wolves, Clippers, Bradley Beal goes on and does sign with the Clippers. Which of those teams would you like the best of those 3 in the West if you had to pick?
Lakers. What was the third one? Lakers, Clippers?
And the Wolves, T-Wolves.
I mean, can I do the Summer League T-Wolves for our guy Tyler Morales so we can get them across the finish line here? I think the Clippers are still a team that I bet the Clippers in that first round against Denver. I even without Bradley Beal, I thought the Clippers were good enough to beat the Nuggets in a 7-game series this year. I was wrong. But I still thought that they were at least in the vicinity of that. That was more of a fate of Denver than anything else. But I think the Clippers still are a very, on paper, in a vacuum, I still think the Clippers are a really good team. But Kawhi's always hurt, right? Like, you don't know what you're getting from the role players. Zubac has been probably the most I think Zubac might have been the most consistent player on that Clippers team the last few years. He's been fantastic. But I still think Kawhi, James, Zubac, and Beal, Batum, I don't know if they're going to be on the roster this year. I don't know if Batum is back. Doesn't look like it. Looks like Harden, Beal, Jones, Leonard, Zubac. That's the starting 5 right now, at least on the ESPN depth chart, with Chris Dunn and Bogan and Collins and Brook Lopez coming off the bench. Batum's there on the 3rd string, so I guess maybe he's still on the team. That feels like a roster that can compete. Like, it really does. That feels like a starting lineup that, if they're all playing at peak level, I think they've got a chance to win a 7-game series in the Western Conference. I think this is Denver and OKC and everyone else. But of those 3 teams, I guess Minnesota's got a lot of starch to them. A lot of playoff experience over the last couple of years with the T-Wolves. But I don't know. It seems like they had their run, and this, I don't know if they're going to – I don't know if they can do any better than they've done. I feel like the Clippers, if Beal can at least give you more than 50 games, which is what he gave you last year, I think the Clippers have at least a chance of those 3 teams.
I mean, this team 5 years ago would have done some serious damage. If you take, you go back to 2020 with James Harden, Bradley Beal, Kawhi Leonard, fully healthy before all the injuries, they would have been really good. I mean, look, on paper, Beal obviously isn't the player that he once was. He's not what he was with Washington in his prime. He's had his fair share of injuries as well. Certainly a guy that can still get buckets. And in the NBA playoffs, when the game slows down, it's more half court. Somebody to take the pressure off James Harden, somebody to take the pressure off of Kawhi Leonard as well. So I think in that aspect, he'll help him. He's not a great defender. I mean, this is by no means a move that moves the needle for me personally. I don't really think the Clippers odds moved all that much, and I don't think that they should, because it's a nice move, but again, it's not a game changing move. It's not the kind of move where I saw this and I'm like, oh, maybe I'll look at the Clippers in the West now. For me, of those 3 teams,
me neither.
For me, of those 3 teams, Jared, it's been Minnesota. I mean, it is Minnesota for me. I mean, this is a team that's been in the Western Conference Final the last 2 years, and they're close. Obviously, OKC is going to be a really difficult team to get through. It's going to be interesting to see what they can do in the offseason to add to their roster. I think the Western Conference is so fascinating, Jared, and how people want to go about it in terms of betting it, right? Because there are two ways I think you can bet the Western Conference. The first way is you just bet the team that you think has the best chance of beating OKC, right? It's kind of like the Chiefs in the AFC. Do you bet the team that you think can knock out the Chiefs and then just hope that they can beat everybody else? Or do you go with the team that you think can beat everybody else in the West and just hope that somebody else knocks out OKC and they're kind of the last one standing, right? That's the way it was a couple years ago when Minnesota and Denver went to 7 games, and we all looked at Denver as the team to beat, especially in the Western Conference. We thought Boston, Denver were on a collision course. And we all said, who was the team that was the worst matchup for Denver? It was Minnesota, with Rudy and Towns down low, and the way that they were constructed, and they didn't fear the Nuggets, and they were the team best equipped to stop Jokic as good as anybody could. They obviously took him to 7 games. They won that series, and then they get matched up with Dallas. And if Dallas went up against Denver, they probably don't beat the Nuggets. They don't beat them in 7 games. But because Dallas was the beneficiary of Minnesota knocking them out, then they got to play against the Timberwolves and went on to the NBA Finals. So that's why I think the West is interesting. If you're just betting the team that you think is going to beat OKC, I think it's Denver. I think they're the only team. They took them to 7 games. They got the best player in the world. OKC wants to speed up everybody, and they want to create havoc, and they want to just cause as many turnovers as they can. Do you know the one player in the world you cannot speed up? It's Jokic. It's impossible.
Yep.
And it must give them fits because they have all these great defenders, and Jokic just lollygags it up the court. You know, he just does his little trot, and he walks it up, and he hands it off to Murray, or he passes it over his head, and he runs the offense. And it's just such a tough matchup for OKC, and they can't deal with it. And with the moves that Denver made in the offseason to improve their roster, that is absolutely the team that OKC doesn't want to see. So what's interesting, Jared, is if those teams match up in the semis and Denver upsets them, well, what if Minnesota then gets Denver in the Western Conference, right? So I think that's the way to go about it, where you probably are better off betting the team that you think is going to be the last one standing, essentially, in the West, because you're getting a better price on you're getting double the price on just about all those other teams outside of Houston, and if you exclude Denver and OKC, because I do think all those teams have a decent shot at beating Denver. I just think there's only one team that can beat Oklahoma City. But I think Houston could beat Denver in a series. I think Minnesota could do it. The Lakers would probably be the one that would be the toughest, but the Clippers, I mean, just took them to 7 games. So I think there are a lot of teams that could beat Denver, but I think there's only one that can beat OKC, and I think it's the Nuggets.
That's fair. I think at the end of the day, the question between LA, Minnesota, and LA, the 2 LA teams in Minnesota, it does feel like a AL, NL MVP discussion where we're trying to, figure out a way to unseat the favorite here. But at the end of the day, I would be shocked if it's not Denver or OKC in the finals next year. Absolutely shocked. And I actually think Denver might be a little bit closer than what the odds are telling us. Like the odds are telling us it's OKC, and then there's a really big gap. And then it's Houston and Denver and the Lakers and Minnesota and the Clippers. And maybe you put the Clippers and the Lakers, and the T-Wolves on that third tier. But there is a clear-cut favorite and then everyone else. I think that's the biggest misprice on the board right now. I don't know if the Clippers or the Lakers or the T-Wolves, like which one of those teams is going to have the best regular season. I think you're probably right. It's probably Minnesota. But I think on paper, the Clippers roster is very good. And the Lakers still have LeBron James and Luka Doncic at the end of the day. So, would you be surprised if they won 55 games next year? If it's, LeBron's last year and he knows it and he's going through the no. I think at the end of the day, though, the final boss is clearly OKC. But that second to final boss, Denver, I think is a lot stronger than maybe what the market's indicating.
I agree. I agree with you. I think the Nuggets should be closer. Again, OKC's plus 150. The Nuggets and the Rockets are 5-1. I think the Nuggets should certainly be higher than Houston, right? Houston, to me, is a better version of Orlando. They're this up-and-coming team. They have a really good coach, very good on defense. But, Jared, I mean, the core group of guys haven't been out of the first round, right? I mean, that group together, now all of a sudden you're making them like one of the favorites. You're putting them at 5-1 to make it to the NBA final. I get you brought Durant in. Van Fleet's won a championship before. Like, again, I think they're a better version of Orlando. They have guys that have won titles, guys that have been in the league, whereas Orlando's key players haven't done that yet. But also the West is way more difficult than the East is. So I kind of view those two the same. I don't think the Nuggets and the Rockets should be at the same price. And I agree with you. I think the Nuggets should be a little bit closer to the Thunder.